Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic is a pretty hard game. And I think what most beginners struggle with, especially in realistic mode, is making money. But today, I'm gonna show you a pretty solid way to make money in the normal start and how to also basically cut your main cost. So we'll show you a way how to make money and how to lose less money, which is also making money in my opinion. So without further ado, let's start. Okay, as a fast recap for people who haven't seen the entire 4 videos before this, we finished our city, which is basically holding up pretty well now. We researched or are currently researching everything we need for making money, because what I will show you today is the refinery, which kind of plays into our oil field over here, which is currently our main export. Yeah, we don't really have an autarky-driven build. We have more of a capitalist build, which is quite ironic in this game. But it works well if you don't want to be overwhelmed by all the features, which I kind of try to do in this beginner series. We have good import over here for all the resources, which solved the bottleneck problem that existed at the beginning of this video series. But now that the newest DLC is out, it doesn't. I still love trains though, so I like it. And on the side, we're currently constructing our railway network to the city, so we have an easier time getting our workers to the workplace, which is actually very important. And we're also researching logistics optimization, which is also gonna be super important. Like, jokes aside, this is gonna be very good. We don't have distribution offices yet, and we really need them. But yeah, all of that aside, if you have questions about something, I invite you to watch the old video series. But today we talk money. Last little thing I want to talk about, I've been gone for a while. I am sorry, my children. I've been a bad father. I haven't found the milk. Jokes aside, I've just, my other YouTube channel is sadly a priority at the moment. And what I'm doing over here is what I want to do when I have time. So this is more of my hobby. A monetized hobby, but still a hobby. So yeah, I want to make these videos. I just don't have the time. And it's a very fast TLDR of why I have been so quiet for a while. I want to make another video series after this, a bigger one on the early start. And since the last time I played, no jokes aside, I have like plus 300 hours. So I played this game a lot in the background, mostly learning the things you taught me, plus also trying to understand the game better for myself. And I've done a lot of early starts, and they're super hard on completely realistic settings, but I've gotten to a point where I can pull it off pretty well, and it plays super different than the normal start. So if you want to see that, it will come. It will just take a few months. I just need to free some private capacities before I can do anything. Yeah, and I think that's all the beginning stuff done. Let's just do the fun bits now, which is making money. And for infrastructure over here, I actually like it quite a bit, because we basically already prepared our oil pump over here, meaning that we can just lock onto this with an underground pipe, which I love to use because they're not in the way, and can just pump everything from our oil fields to a refinery. And I've decided, for the whole reason that it's very good visible on the end of the video when I do the time lapse again, that we'll build the refinery over here. It has also the huge upside that it means that our railway won't cross the highway, because if I build it on this side, I'd have to build a huge bridge, or I cross the highway, which is horrible. And I could also do a tunnel, but that's even worse. So yeah, I'm just gonna build it over here. Something I also gotta say now, what I started using in my private playthroughs is that I work a lot now with the grid, and I love the grid. The grid is great. For this video series, it's too late to do that now, because you either start with the grid or you don't. But it really helps you to organize your buildings. So I'm gonna use it a bit over here, because the game is a little bit built around you using the grid. If you don't use the grid, you have a lot of uneven stuff like over here. Yeah, and we are slightly off. We are so slightly off. We're very close to using the grid, but we're not. Very sad. But yeah, I'm gonna build the refinery over here. I would also order my workers to also build a train platform here, and that's where we're gonna drop them off. I would say something like this should suffice. Beautiful. Could we in the future do a turnaround? We can. We don't need this because our train will never go into that direction, but for the future this might be interesting. So I'm gonna keep this space for that open. And don't forget, add these orders to the railway construction office, otherwise they're not gonna build this. Yeah, they like to ignore it. On the other side, the bridges are taking shape, so the longest part of the railway network is soon done, and this railway over here should be done in like no time. What we should also start to think about right now is to build more city over here. And last time I built these things over here, so we do have some space or housing, and we should definitely build more housing around here, 100%. Also, So in my last video, I said something for future Florius, and present Florius does remember that now. So we have to build another heating plant. I'm just surprised that we need so early a second one, but to be fair, we've locked on a lot of these small buildings too. Plus, we built like a giga city from the beginning. So yeah, we probably need another heating plant. So I'm just gonna do that in the background. It's not that interesting for the money section. If you saw the videos before, I'm just gonna do that again. Very good. I'm also finally tackling sewage over here, which will be important for the money making because our refinery will produce a lot of sewage, which means that I will build a pumping station over here, which allows me to go under the Danube. Because with a 50-meter deep pumping station, the pipe connection is basically very deep, allowing me to go all the way under the Danube. But yeah, this is very annoying. If I had more time with the series, which I sadly don't, I would build another sewage station over here, but that would cost a lot of money though. So I'm just going to use the big one we already have because that's a big one. That will be able to handle this no problem. What I do like to do is to build a lot of switches so I have more access points. The downside of that is that you kind of invite yourself to never build something new because you always have enough connections, which funnily enough can be a bad thing because your building might go over capacity after a while. But in this case, I doubt it, at least anytime soon. So this is connected. By the way, I heard this question before in the comments. I'm just gonna answer it real quick with this pipe here. If you build a pipe, you can just hold Control left click to delete the entire pipe. It works with a lot of things. Like a lot of people struggle with, oh, I want to delete it like this, and it's only that part. It's annoying, and you delete something else. But if you want to delete an entire pipe between the connection dots, you just hold Control and then left click the pipe, and it's gone. Works the same with roads, pathways, and a lot of other things. So we finished logistics optimization, allowing us to finally do distribution offices. Let's go. I do gotta say, I hate building in winter because you can't really see a lot. I don't even just mean my own roads, that's fine. But if you open a grid mode, that is just white on white, which is not great for building if you want to use that. So yeah, I'm building a few roads that I need, and I'm kind of trying to make it city-like looking now. But at the same time, I'm limited by my eyes' abilities to see the line. Oh, finally, winter is gone, and immediately a fire starts. Great. But at least we have a fire watch on this side of the Danube now. So it can actually be stopped. Also, a little bit of a problem with these pipes over here to the new heating plant because they wait too long. I had to build an entire new infrastructure just to pump it further, meaning we have electricity over here now too. Also reminded me that we might need electricity next to the future refinery, so I also built that. And as a side quest, which is absolutely useless and I really shouldn't do this, I'm gonna rebuild the Natural History Museum because if I don't do this until the end of this campaign, a lot of you are gonna be super sad. So I'm gonna rebuild it as a beacon of our socialism, okay? That our communist society is superior. A lot of people are gonna die though, because I just noticed so many people want to work on this place. Yeah, sorry guys, you already see the dip. Maybe we wait until I can move all of these people in the new living quarters over here. I love the game for stuff like that. Oh, you want to build something? Yeah, everyone's gonna die. Anyways, the technical university finished researching the one thing we really need. I'm gonna stop researching over here right now for the sole reason that I want more educated people, and if we research, as I said in episodes before, it will split the efforts. So I'm not gonna do that. What I will do now though is I will finally build the a lot mentioned refinery, and I'm gonna give you my way to build it, because of course it is one thing to just build it, and it's a completely different thing to lay out the export. This is in that direction, and that is already too long. Oh, those pipes have like no range. True. I am stupid. We never researched this. And I won't research it now because I actually need educated people. I really do. So we have to work with very limited pipe range, meaning we have to build a lot of pumping stations. Least in range. Oh yeah, it is good, but that is too long. So one more pumping station. Okay. I'm using this to kind of make different kinds of pumping stations. There's the ones that have a lot of outputs, and there's the ones that have a lot of inputs. And I'm kind of mixing it up between the two, depending on what I need on this pipeline. So this here has a lot of outputs. This has inputs. This has inputs. This has outputs. Just to kind of always have something if I ever need it. Because I might want to rework it a little bit or plug in another pipe from a different system. And it's good to have this ability throughout the piping system. Just always think about what do I want to use the pipe for the future, and then build it in that way in mind, which is easier said than done, you know, speaking from a bit of known experience, but it is also very helpful to keep stuff like that in mind. We can also prepare the sewage over here now, and I kept space for that because I'm very intelligent, but at the same time I am stupid because I kept no space for the pump is on this side of the Danube. Okay, the water has to be a bit longer then. Very sad. But yeah, all of that should be built now. Beautiful. Now, as for the output. Normally, at this point, I like to work with pipelines, but we won't have the time for that, at least not for the beginning of this refinery. So we have to kind of use our current truck system, and for that I'm gonna prepare something a bit more complicated. Because what I would normally do, let me show it real quick, is I would build 2 fuel storages somewhere, don't need to be connected, get one of these output pumping stations, build it like over here, I'll actually use this for later, and have one output, with all the underground piping this has become a bit of a challenge, connect these 2, and this 3rd pipe goes to the border basically to a foreign pipeline connection, which is this over here, where you can just sell or basically trade on the border. Might even have another pipe that goes from the border to our oil storage. If we ever need more oil than we actually produce on our own, we can always import it, and it's still a very profitable trade to just refine oil that we import. You should make more than double your money back. It's pretty good. And why I like to do it like this is because it allows me to have one dedicated fuel storage for our trucks, because as already hinted, we will replace our fuel import with our own produced fuel, which if you look at our entire expenses over time is the 2nd highest cost of our nation. So if we just nullify this by producing it on our own, this would mean that we don't need to think about the 2nd highest expense anymore, which is crazy. And on top of that, it allows us to even export that. This already should show you that is very profitable. Even more profitable is bitumen. And I also like to store bitumen because at some point it makes a lot of sense to produce your own asphalt. And asphalt needs bitumen. There's a lot of products that need bitumen. So what I do is I use one connection to just export it and 2 storages to hold it locally for me. This will not suffice. Not in this build. My easy solution, now that we have distribution offices, is I will build it down like this for later, but I will just set up a distribution office over here or somewhere close. Then we'll just check if this is over 20% filled, and when it's over 20% filled, just export it. It is very easy. I will show in a second how it's to be done, but I'm pretty sure if you saw the videos before, you already know how to do it. I'm just gonna do it again in case people don't know. It is fine. I recorded the last video a month ago. If you watch this all in one video series and you don't even care about this, congratulations. You are watching this late enough that you don't have to suffer from my upload schedule. But for all the other people, sorry again, by the way, I will show it again. No problem. By the way, this is a pure speed in the construction of the railway. I'm very proud. We need more people. That is just it. We have the infrastructure for it. We have a huge shopping center. We have enormous schools, kindergartens, justice system. All is here. All we need now is just houses. And these over here are a little bit mid. There is like my favorite house to build. I will show it because we can probably not build it. Is this one over here. This is amazing space efficiency wise. Our current building can keep 110, which is half for basically similar space. Yeah. The upside of this is that it is very high on quality of flats. This one is 2% less, which makes it pretty good because it's not a huge downgrade, but a huge upgrade in people. Anyways, yapping aside, I will indeed build more housing because we need it. I did just check if we're in range of our shopping center, and we are not. So what I will do is I will upgrade this road over here to have walk paths on the side, which takes a bit longer to build. That's why I did not do it. But they are a lot better for a city because you see walking speed over here is 79% and over here is 87. The best, of course, is by far still the 100% asphalt footpath with lamps. So I'm gonna build a few of those in between everything. Come on, make space. Very good. And yeah, the dev loop in Vienna has stopped. It is none of the workers we utilized before, but it's a lot of potential workers now gone in Vienna, which is a little bit sad because it was basically for no reason, but it is what it is. That happens when you don't play for months and then come back to a save game expecting you to remember everything, which doesn't happen. And yes, I like to show my mistakes because mostly they are funny because they're really bad and stupid. And because I'm still coping that this is not a guide and I'm just showing what I want to do in this game, you can say nothing against it. Got you. Yeah, I would say we build another shopping center over here. We have the space to do it here. Let me just build the other houses so I have a bit of a feeling how much space we have. Because I want to show anyways how to build the entire logistics between the forklifts better. So I'm going to use this opportunity to do exactly that. I'm not going to connect this house though, because I want him to finish this footpath over here. So I'm just going to connect it like this. Very good. Just out of efficiency reasons, I like to build the big shopping center. I have some others I like a lot now, but they are DLC, so I'm not going to be using them. I love a lot of the new buildings, by the way. They look very, very beautiful. So we need a road to go out of here. Very beautiful once again. Bump. And then we need a forklift garage. And what we did over here is that we built a connector and then connected everything around it. What I would say you should do now is just use the garage as a connector, which 100% just works. And I don't know why I haven't thought about this, but without people commenting this, I wouldn't have known it. Like, my brain would have not thought about this. And it makes a lot of sense. I'm just, sometimes you're in your own little world and you don't think about things because they just work. Yeah, main reason why I enjoy this video series is so much because I can use it as a reason for me to learn the game too. Because I know the basics, I think I've shown that quite well. And a lot of you were really thankful for the guides, which, you know, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I generally, like, I sound very arrogant now probably, but I do appreciate it a lot. It was scary to make this series. It was completely new terrain for me. I'm not good at the game. I just like the game. And the internet is a place of conflict. The amount of educated people is really exploding though. This is really good news. We do be losing a bit on basic education, but that's not a schooling problem. That's basically a problem of we educate more people to university degrees, then we get children that go to school and become basic education, which means we just need more housing again. This is literally the answer to most things. Like, you miss something, get more people, you know? You need more infrastructure for your people, build big from the beginning. I know there's a very optimized way to build where you plan like little cities around every different industry. It's just not a playstyle I personally enjoy. A lot of pro styles work like that, and I respect that. I'm really impressed by them doing that. I just am a very casual builder, and if I want to build a city, I want to build a city, you know? So I enjoy this. Build something of a city center and then grow out of it, grow into all directions. Then once you're happy with one city, build another big city. It's not how you should play the game, but it's how I enjoy playing the game. And I think this here just shows off the concept of how these buildings interact with each other. So at the end of the day, you can build however you want. I'm not forcing this building style on you. This is very, very inefficient. But I think it shows off how forgiving the game is once you understand how it works. Because it is not very forgiving if you don't know what you're doing. And another building is on fire. We also finished distribution offices. Let's go. Okay, I can stop yapping now. We can actually do something. No, distribution offices are unironically huge research. I feel like most people would agree the moment you unlock distribution offices, your entire mentality of building changes. Because it is just that big. Distribution offices is enormous tech. I'm gonna build one over here for the refineries. I'm gonna build one over here. This one over here was for the general supplying of everything. And I'm just gonna build a third one just to be safe. Oh, and a small one, by the way. For the beginning, I always like to have a small distribution office, basically becoming a supplier of fuel. Because right now we have these 3 trucks over here. With the small one, we can upgrade it to 5 trucks. And for like a small fueling network, 5 trucks is more than enough. So I'm just gonna squeeze it in here. Very good. I'm also surprised I already finished with most of the pipes. That's actually great. Good news. In this economy, that is crazy. Okay, I checked the auditorium of our university and we have not that much students anymore. If we cut this in half, there's still more than enough space. So I'm actually gonna do the research now I want for the pipelines. And the only reason this is possible now is because if you look at our graph of university degrees, it exploded through the last few years. Like, ignore the huge dip, that never happened. But it really went all the way up. So this building works at a very good efficiency and students don't really need to wait outside anymore. So yeah, that is very nice. Slightly different situation in the small headquarters of the Republic because it is way smaller, so way less party officials go in here. It is basically working at capacity without researching. So I'm not going to research anything over here. There's some nice research, especially in terms of tourism is actually really strong as an income, or fire prevention, also very nice. I've heard, never really noticed the effect of those. It keeps on burning. There's some very nice stuff still there. I'm just prioritizing education right now, which is a cool feeling that you in universities have a choice between getting a fast payout by immediately researching right now or waiting a bit longer so you can research faster later and have more educated people, which is also very important. I'm also going to put this one over here to fuel, and I'm going to be a bit adventurous. I'm going to build a fuel loading station a bit back here and connect it to the storage. So in the long run, this will be our end storage for fuel. So we will always use this to supply our own city, meaning that we would like to have some kind of pumping station to get it into our trucks so we can just get it out faster. For the export, it's not that important because, you know, they go there, they fill it up and then they leave. But for the constant flow of refueling the fuel station over the entire Republic, having something consistent like a loading station might be very, very important. Later on, we will change the export to the pipeline anyway, so that is not a permanent solution anyways. This over here is. And we're officially using our last medium voltage connection over here for the shopping center. And before you ask, no, you can't use these here to extend it. I tried that. It doesn't work. It needs to be connected to this here. Winter is coming close again, and I ordered this building over here to only activate if the temperature goes below 0, meaning that this will be our main heat power plant, and this over here will be our supplement power plant for the real bad temperatures, so deep winter, which does save me some coal, and that's a very nice setting if you have two heating plants in the same heating network, which those two are. They're basically intertwined over here, and then they go over here and fill up those heat exchangers, which works perfectly fine. Looks horrible if you look in the underground map mode, but that is what it's supposed to look like, and it is perfect, and I don't want to hear anything. We are also very deep into research right now. We're already at the pipeline pressure, which is the third research down the line. So this university over here is researching quite fast now. But for the last two researchers, seen in red over here, we need our communist HQ. It will take a bit longer because it's a small facility, but I hope we get more officials over time. Speed up my construction. I'm also going to build a few free construction offices and fill them up with stuff I really need, like more concrete, more excavators, more cranes, and more dumpers. So the research in the technical university is also done. I'm gonna go down concrete utilization now. Personally, I just like it a lot for the building upgrades, going all the way to durable prefab panels, allowing you to build the building I showed you before. Very good living quarters, but most importantly now, it allows us to research the pipeline connection, which might generally be very good in time for our industry, jokes aside, because this is soonish done. But if you research this kinda quickish, which we won't because this is way slower, it shouldn't be too late for this industry. So we will rely a little bit on the oil buses, or trucks to be more precise. I don't know why I call it buses. But just a bit later, we can just export it over here. And to show off how much longer our pipelines can now be, if you remember, before we couldn't reach this, now we can, and we can go all the way to here now. This is crazy. Like before it was like this, and now it's close to more than double. So yeah, this is a really important research, and it helps you doing longer pipelines by a lot. This is just logistic-wise way nicer. Might not even need to build anything and can just connect the pipeline directly to the storage, which I don't think we can. I think we need a pump in between. But so far our oil is full again, meaning this refinery is kind of needed now. In the background, we're also building on the Nature History Museum. I just disabled all the workers that are not coming from construction offices. So yeah, the great starving has ended. Maybe a bit too late, but it has ended. Also, these houses are being lived in now, and the supermarket finished around the same time. Good timing here. Downside, there's no food in the supermarket yet, just meat. If you're carnivores, you should have a good time in here, I'm just saying. Okay, now we have food. Very good. The railway is also finished. Good. I will do some extra things, like over here, a cross-section like this, basically allowing them to use both sides of the train station, and doing the same over here. And once that is done, I think we can start talking about railway signaling. They're pretty cool in the background, so we understand our budget better. I'm just gonna buy the trains we will need. So 2 locomotives, and I would say 3 passenger wagons should be enough, especially with high capacity. So I'm gonna buy 6, which is 3 per train. Very good. Money-wise, we're looking more and more dire, but I gotta say, with the entire industry being so close to being done, we will make a lot of money very, very soon. If we have to take a little loan, which is, I guess, $1 million or something, it's not little, but it's also not that much, that is fine. And yeah, the technical university is super fast. Now, we're already done with concrete again. Let's go to prefab panels. Very good. Better houses already. This is not even 25% done. We could give it more professors, or in this case, party officials, but there's still some students here, and we need educated people, so this would be kind of bad. The amount of people with university degrees is amazing at the moment, and the basic education is not going down, which is a good sign. The only thing really going down is non-education, so really good. And the more people we drag into the city, the better. I have these houses, by the way, on get citizens from already existing residents, So the goal here is to pull the people out of our own city or all of the other cities that are around the map. This is why the pre-built star is also quite nice, because you can just steal people from everywhere. Sounds really bad if you say it like this, but yeah, it empties up some of your houses, which allows them to have like new children, fill up these slots again. Now the other side, you empty out the rest of the map, which, you know, will also fill up over time again. And at the end of the day, it costs you no money. So yeah, pretty good. And I did notice we officially reached 10 years in the game. Ooh, that shows how slow I've been, but as I said many times before, there was a reason for that. And it's not just because I'm bad at the game, okay? Not just that. But what we can also do now is we can literally take all of our trucks over here. I love doing this manual. This is great. Okay, the depot is now full. I'm just gonna put them over here then. With depot, I mean the distribution office. For now, we'll just order this distribution office to go over here, pick up any fuel, and load it off over there. Actually, we have no more traffic over here. We can actually use this again. With the rework system, this shouldn't be a problem. And I'm just doing that to kind of get rid of the oil while our refinery is not built yet, which literally just finished and is filling up with oil. So the connection worked over there. The thing we need now is workers, and for that we need the railways done. Yeah, we just need to finish the train station, and then we can actually just start our fuel production. That is amazing. Yeah, generally speaking, we are in a good shape. This was all really fast now. That's why we were building this city district over here and a lot of distribution offices and a lot of other things like the Nature History Museum, which is still the most horrendous thing that happened in this campaign. But yeah, progress so far, I am very happy. Garbage container overfilled. Yeah, I forgot to build that. But yeah, I would say with these connections over here done, I will just do a quick guide on signals, which is the most least understood thing in the game. I can say that. So signals basically are waypoints that force a direction and lock certain areas of the railway. The easiest way to show it off is this one way over here, where we tell our train, and it already does that because the way this works doesn't really allow the other way around. It goes in here, it goes all the way around and loads of all of the stuff and then comes back. The first thing I would love to do, actually we need one last thing over here. So I would say let's go all the way over here, and now we're 100% on the safe side. I'm gonna build another one of these over here. This is, by the way, an inefficient way to build this, and I will destroy this in a little bit. We also need this here if you ever want to go back. But once these two things are built, and ignore that these building vehicles will phase through each other right now, we will talk signals. It's kind of important to have those things, so I'm gonna wait a little bit. Yes, train, you really want to go there? We know. But yeah, for our existing trains, this is enough, so I'm just gonna explain it now. First, I will make a split over here, where I create two different areas of the rail track, and you already see the red and the green arrows. Green means that this track over here is free, while the red over here means this train area is occupied, which is true. You have this train over here, you have the other train, so this entire orange area is now occupied. There's only one train allowed on it, meaning that these construction trains over here will never come out for the sole reason that this train is already on this entire track. So what we have to do is to create little segments where trains can be in, and the best way to kind of organize this that they will never be in each other's way is to organize it like a road. So I'm gonna create like one ways, which you can create if you place it down and then you click it again and you click it again. So I will now say here, right track is this direction, left track is the other direction, basically like my roads, and I will create these things most importantly before every curve, because these are like areas where trains will intermeet, and this is why I need to destroy this over here, because it will kind of destroy this over there. And for this over here, we actually need some special treatment. Oh, that means I should have left more space here, but we'll talk about chain signals in a second. I will just finish mapping all of this out, like over here and over here, and now we've created this thing over here, and now we have this over here, because this is all one way, meaning that they have to drive this entire circle to come back in the depot, but that's how it's designed. They can't come from over there. So I will create all of these distinctions between the railway. I would say over here is also a good disruption point, because then the train can go here and it will make space over there. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated, but basically we are creating segments of railway and forcing them to go into a certain direction with everything. But as soon as I'm done with this, you will see pretty quickly that these trains will come out and build again. Very important here again, I want them to go into both directions here, otherwise they can't go out. But here again, we force the direction. So meaning if this train wants to go to this over here, he will go into here, parks in the station, goes out again, and goes the other way. This is why these are very important, otherwise they can't actually go back, so that's kind of important. So this train now comes out. I will also give them the demolition order over here to get rid of these two. And you see, he's now waiting here for this train to be away from this area, and as soon as he builds a bit forward and cleans this train will go all the way up to here. And you will see in a second, like now, he's out of the area and this train immediately moves forward. So signals are pretty basic in that sense. But if I would keep my setup like it is right now, which works, but as soon as you have more than one active train on it, it would break over time because it will just block each other. They will be in each other's ways. This is why we need to talk about chain signals. And I'm gonna wait for that until we like done with the entire destruction of things I use as a short-term solution, because that is kind of quite important. I'm gonna order this train over here to pick up everything and then come over again. And it can do that because we have two different lines here. Okay, we could have actually moved this all the way over here and that would have been great, because for something I will talk about in a little bit, the space here is a bit important. Okay, a little bug over here. It says it has no electricity because it destroyed something. I'm gonna set a waypoint and remove it, and yeah, now it's fixed. Okay, let's talk about chained signals. Chained signals basically, I use this word a lot, I know, mean that if I place it here, the train will check if this is free and the area after, which would be here or here, is free. So this checks for the next signals, and that is super important in situations like this where they can cross each other and be in each other's way. They can block each other and lock themselves for eternity, basically. So if you go into like a mixed situation like this, that is kind of good. By the way, if you press control, you can activate and deactivate this mode over here. Kind of important to know. I did the same over here, which is a bit experimental because I kind of doubt this works. So they will always go in, but if they try to go out, they check the next two signals. I actually think this won't work for the sole reason that if you don't have an interruption between those chain signals, they kind of break. So what I need to do here, which is a very ugly solution, this is why I wanted to have more space here, is say this here is a chain signal, this here is a chain signal, and those two are not. And that should work. The problem is if we ever get a situation where the train can't go here because the train doesn't want to go here because this train is in the way. Yeah, you see again we have a problem here. In these sections, an entire train should fit, so they're not in each other's way. Yeah, this is just a problematic area here. We should move this entire area all the way to over here where we have space. It's not important for this right now. I just want you to think about this, that you should always keep a train of space between this. And there need to be interruptions between those chain signals. Otherwise, they will confuse the trains. Okay, and with an interruption, I mean a not chain signal. If I'm wrong, once again, please correct me in the comments. I will even pin that. I don't mind, because signals are the most confusing thing of this game. I think most people can just agree to that. Over here, once again, we go into the intersection over here. I will just put chain signals, and same over here, and kind of same over here, because you go into this thing over there. So over here, we will have that again, and that should just all work. To make it a bit more fluent, I will have a few more signals so the trains are not too scared to drive forward. A little bit of our own rainbow road over here. We also on the side can get all of the cargo wagons now. And in the background, these households have finished. I'm just gonna force a few of those to literally just work in the train station. And with that, I mean I will allow workers now, and I force them to go there because I really need some workers for the refinery, and the train is the most efficient way to get them over here. I don't like this area over here. I don't like this area over here, but it's not the highway, so I don't hate that there is a crossing. Normally, if you want to be super efficient, also build like a bridge, but we are running out of money, and it is not the most important thing. This way is not as bad because the train will only go over here if you ever go to the train depot, and that's basically only for repairs, so it doesn't matter that much. For setting up the train, I'm just going to put all the passenger wagons to the train. Then we go over here. It's literally like the buses. Tell them to pick everyone up that is a worker and then load them off at the refinery station. That's it. That is a train. If you want to be more efficient, it's not necessary for trains as much as it's for buses, but it also exists the railway end station. I think there's also a modern one. Wait, here. This is the same with the bus, that it helps to keep the intervals better. I'm not gonna build it now because it's just two trains railway section. For the buses, this is always important, but we don't really need refueling that often because we use electricity. So it's less important. And trains, you know, they don't really break down that fast. So getting them into a depot regularly is also not that important. What I will also do now, I lost the train. Where are you, train? Here. I will pin this train and I will just copy the order onto the other train and let it also start. Now we have the two trains out. This train over here, very beautiful, will drive to the train station. By the way, if you want to know how to do this cinematic mode, that's just, you know, the G button on your keyboard. So if you press G, you can remove all the UI. And this train will go to the train station, pick up our workers if we don't run out of money until it reaches there, because we do import our electricity and we were very short on money last time I saw the UI. Goes into here, picks up all the workers, which are some already here, turns around, magically, goes on the other rail, there you go, and brings them to the workplace. Overall, very cool. It's only 22 workers, but to be fair, we just connected this. This should become more and more workers over time. Yeah, very, very good. And we already have some workers here. How do we get workers here? Oh, this was maybe already the second trip of the train. Oh, we need one bitumen, we need one fuel storage, and yes. I will also delete this over here here. We're not taking fuel from the custom house anymore. We'll take fuel from over here. There you go. And to make it less confusing, I'm gonna pull it all the way up the orders so we can see it. And we're gonna copy these orders to the new distribution office and bring all the trucks over there. I will also stop these trucks from taking fuel and only unload now, because we're now gonna use our oil to produce, not to export. Means also we can delete this distribution office over here because we don't need it anymore. Beautiful. This is also finished, but I will redo this once we have a bit of money because we are very low. Today we're getting over 100 workers on the refinery. That is money-making potential here. Jokes aside, over 100 is really good. The question is if we can hold this. I will now set up this over here to check these two over here if they are over 20%, and if they are over 20%, to export to this custom house bitumen and fuel. And that is my beginning order for this, which is very, very basic. And it should allow us to always have like a 20% buffer. Someone asks, buffer what? I will punch you. Actually, the bitumen I can immediately export. We need some money right now. Go for sell my bitumen. Now this truck goes here, picks up the bitumen. Doesn't seem like a lot, but trust me, that amount of money that's in there really adds up over time, and we produce bitumen super fast. Now we run out of money, so this truck go over here, and we have money again. Let's go. The only big running cost we have right now, besides food, clothes, electronics, meat, and chemicals, I probably forgot something, but besides that, it is mostly construction goods, so rebuilding this here is super expensive, basically, and I'm only doing this because I like you guys, okay? But besides that, we should have a good economy now, and we have so many people in the refinery. Generally very good. We don't import fuel anymore, which is also huge. We use our own fuel, meaning we will save a lot of money. Plus, we will start to do the opposite. We will see a lot of green in the export. Bitumen already doing 35k. As I said, this adds up really quick. This is while I was talking. It just became more. We are kind of on the edge because every time the train comes, it tries to bankrupt us, and now it doesn't have electricity, so it waits for something to be. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, the building materials are super expensive. We can't import bricks right now, but I don't think we will need loans. This over here, the pipeline still 25% missing. We're getting close. And the more houses finish over here, by the way, the more people we can force to go into the train station. Not full capacity, because we need some workers over here too, for the supermarket, for the universities. But generally speaking, that's a big amount of workers. So for the most houses, I will say 50% go to the train station, 50% work in the local area. That's why I like train stations. You can basically centralize your transport, and it is very effective. The buses would take way longer, and you can get a lot of people in one train. That's a small train. It's only 3 wagons. Yeah, I love how we are edging bankruptcy. Every time the train comes, we just lose all of our money. But yeah, we have a very regular export now, which is super nice. Does our oil field keep up right now? It doesn't. Our bottleneck is already our oil production. We use so much more oil than we can produce. That is kind of funny, and also bad news, because that means we really need the pipeline soon, because I don't want to import oil. That is super inefficient, via truck at least. And we're using all of these trucks here, all of them, to export because we produce so fast. Yeah, this is amazing. We have money again. Train comes over. All the money is basically gone. Actually, no. We made enough money so we can afford the new train. We can afford our logistic train. That is huge. I didn't expect that. But yeah, bricks are super cheap, and it's like the resource we need the most right now. Steel is super expensive, but yeah, we have a big storage. Yeah, all of these are done. That is actually great. Could also boost our population because there's more space in these houses now to, you know, do what humans do best. I would say in the background, I prepare everything for a pipeline, like this pump over here for oil import, and the other way around with the other type of pump for oil exports. I do it like this for the sole reason that for the import, we just need like one pipeline into our oil storage, and from there it gets transferred where it needs to be. And we can have multiple foreign pipeline connections, meaning more inputs into that is actually very good. The other way around is, of course, that we want to export, so we need it the other way around, more outputs. I do doubt that we can reach that far, but yeah, it's too long. So we need one last pump in between, and just to mix it up, I'm going to use the other way around, meaning I'm going to use the more inputs one if we ever have more stuff we want to export from different directions, because you can pump multiple fluids per pipe. I didn't say this yet, but I imagine you have already guessed by now. What you can't do is you can't mix fluids in a storage. So the pipe is fine. It will always flicker between the two different kind of fluids we're pumping, while the storages can only hold one thing. But yeah, that's the long-term export plan in making money. And you see, with our way too overbloated economy, or what we should actually have, this works pretty well. We have green numbers now every month with enormous imports. We are not self-reliant. We import food, we import clothing. I didn't want you to think about any of these, because that's just extra learning steps that are good for the future, and you should do them at the beginning, definitely. But if you just want to learn the game and get a feel for it, this might be more the way where you use your capital and not your resources. So it's easier to understand that I kind of do enjoy this playstyle a lot too. And we are super close to get the connection. And we have it. I will now stop researching over here for the reason that I want more educated people again. Plus, I will build the connection here. So you just need to be at the border. It doesn't even need electricity. electricity. It just needs to be at the border. It needs a road connection. So I'm gonna do it like this. Please build this as soon as possible. Export into here. Import. Oh, yeah. Literally the other way around. Into here. Beautiful. This does take a while to be built. You see like 2,200 work days. Quite a bit of time. But once we have this, we can just flicker between importing and exporting. My advice is that you always import until your storage is full, and then you go to always export, because then you always export what you have. And yeah, we've officially run out of oil, and that's why we stopped making money. Our oil fields are just not fast enough to keep up with all of this, which is kind of funny. That our main problem is now that we need to import oil because we have over 200 people in the refinery. Yeah, this is good news. This is suffering from success. We generally might need a loan now to build up this infrastructure. So I'm just gonna jump over my own shadow. You see over here in the economy tab, loan rubles. I'm just gonna put it to like 500,000. Should be more than enough. Over 5 years, which is the highest interest. But I gotta be honest, I plan on paying this off myself very soon anyways. But on the other side, I just don't want to think about the loan. So 5 years is pretty good. Don't do like half a year, because then you have to basically earn 500,000 in half a year. And if you're at the beginning of making money, that is not possible. Just put it to the 5 years. Trust me, this is a rule of thumb pretty good. So the pipeline is done, meaning we can't export yet via it because that pipe is still in construction. But what we can do is we can import, because that pipeline over here is already connected, meaning that if I unpause now, and there's a very fast explanation how this works, you have import and export mode, which you can flip between, and export means it, you know, sucks everything up and exports it. Import means it pumps as much out as you can and imports that. So once this storage is full, it will just stop. But that also means that we don't have enough oil to finally do stuff again. And just to double check that we're actually importing now, yep, we are importing oil. We just apparently use it up so fast that you barely notice it growing. Our refinery is pretty effective. But yeah, those pipelines take forever. Like even this last bit over here is 1,000 work days. That is crazy. So that research over here is also finished. Let me just build one of those buildings to show how good they are. Because space efficiency wise, they're literally like, they're even less than this building over here, but it can hold double as much people. This building is generally amazing to build. I'm just gonna drop 2 over here. Ignore the road alignment. It doesn't matter. Okay, we can align it to the other road. I'm not speaking to you here. I'm speaking to my OCD. There you go. But that should bring us a lot of workers, especially with the export pipeline now connected. I just decided to cut this off, and I think we can go from import oil just to export oil. And if you ask yourself why the refinery has much less workers now, yeah, a lot of people are now working over here and allowed our construction officers to take workers from the train station. So yeah, those are all over here potential workers for the refinery. And now they're repairing a museum. Yay. But I have to get it finished, okay? Look at the work days you need to do here. This is crazy. So the fuel storage is full, meaning we will now export 100% of our fuel production. Bitumen will take a bit longer because bitumen has less production, but it also makes good money. If you look at the money chart, the oil price currently for buying oil is 93 rubles, and the selling price for fuel is 228, and for bitumen 380. Now in this calculation over here, you can basically neglect the energy cost because power is really cheap in this game. So we put in 250 tons of oil and get out 200 tons of fuel and bitumen, which if I put this into a calculator real quick, let me visualize it for you. Taking the 93 here times 200, meaning we have 23,250, and that's if we buy all the oil for the refinery, which we don't, and we get out worth 57,000. But the fuel alone will make us 28.5. That is crazy. Okay, I thought I'd never say this, but we're finally on the last stretch to finish the museum. This took forever. This was generally an enormous project. But finally we can use our entire workforce again to work in the refinery. 103 people. That is a lot. But yeah, our refinery already made us 1 million in the background. And that with the completely full storages, I do recommend for bitumen maybe don't build a big storage because I regret that. There's so much money in this and I can't just export it, but I'm too stubborn to change the build style now. For my next session, I will turn bitumen into like a way smaller storage because you will never need that much for asphalt, trust me. So much money lost, but I like the storage, okay, it's good. But if you don't do that, you should make really good money. And with that, I mean, I'm already making a lot of money. And that while I'm importing right now oil, not exporting, the month is still green. It is very profitable. The only thing I enjoy more than this is uranium enrichment. That stuff is a bit more complicated, but crazy profitable, okay? The money you can make in that, huge. But we are now at the point where our workers are not needed anymore in the city to construct and just build like a few more supplement buildings like football fields, an art gallery, because it's a little thing I didn't say yet. Culture enjoyment and sports are two needs that are definitely way better off if you have redundant satisfaction of that, meaning one sport hall is fine, but a sport hall and a football field will increase the enjoyment. I mean, my people are really happy. Like, their happiness is around 80%, and that's without religion. That is really, really good, especially for the hardcore setting we are playing on. For the people who don't remember the first episode, which I'm not mad about, we are on art satisfaction, okay? So getting that to 80% is pretty good. But yeah, with no more really ongoing building projects, my refinery works on a very high capacity most of the time. The huge downside that our oil import has real problems catching up sometimes. This really struggle to fill up at the moment. And our internal fuel storage, oh, that's why we can't produce anymore. The only reason our oil caught up is because we can't produce anymore because our internal fuel storage is full. So I have to export that to import again. Yeah, we have so many people now in the refinery. Oh my god, but the money in this is so good. The optimal setup for this is either to have a buffer, once again, if you write it, I will ban you, between the export line, so you can store more, but that is very expensive. What I recommend is just to research a second pipeline, which I started to research a little bit ago, and have one pipeline on always import and one pipeline on always export. And yes, I haven't said it before, if you research the pipeline, you only get one, meaning if you want to build a second one, you need to research it again. That's how these foreign connections work. You always have to basically get the license to do it. A bit annoying, but on the other hand, an interesting game mechanic that kind of makes sense. Yeah, it's not that bad. And if you have more educated people who can research it really quick, so later on it might be interesting to build a big headquarters so we can get these licenses faster. What I also recommend once you're comfortable with your research is pollution research. It is just a straight up research for going down a line, and at the end of the line, your factories produce 15% less pollution. That is pretty good. What I also did, I planted a few trees. They're still growing. I don't know. I don't like those tree-less cities, so my cities get trees. So now the bitumen storage is full too, meaning that we will store both. You see, both is overflowing in the refinery now. So once I hit this switch, we should make money. And we do. What we can also place here is a little bit of propaganda. You know how it is. And I would say, yeah, we are making money. That is this episode done. So let me say, for a final time in this series, thank you all for watching. I hope I could show you something about the game that I personally very appreciate. And thanks to all of you for teaching me back, because as I said, I know the basics. You taught me way more than the basics, and I tried to implement this into the series as it went along and corrected some of my mistakes. I had a lot of fun playing this, filling up the industry. I grew very attached to this, and it feels sad to let it go, but I just don't have the time anymore. I do thank you all very much for watching. See you when I'm back from the void, and have fun playing, my comrades.